Iranian athlete Elnaz Rekabi has returned to Tehran after garnering global attention for competing overseas without a hijab. Iran requires female athletes to wear the head covering, and now concerns are growing about her safety. Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz has been following this story from the very beginning and has the latest for us.
Crowds gathered at the Tehran airport, clapping and chanting as Elnaz Rekabi made it home to Iran, with protests sweeping across the country and the police mounting a deadly crackdown. The Iranian climber finds herself at the center of the storm. Over the weekend at an international climbing competition in South Korea, Rekabi did not cover her hair with a hijab, required by conservative Iranian officials for female athletes, even when they are out of the country. The move was seen as an act of defiance on the world stage, a show of solidarity with protesters in Iran over the death of Mahsa Amini, who died in police custody after her arrest for improperly wearing her hijab. Before her appearance at the airport, the only word from Rekabi was an Instagram post claiming her lack of a hijab was an accident. Due to bad timing, she said, and the unanticipated call for me to climb the wall, my head covering inadvertently came off. And she repeated that claim to Iranian media in Tehran overnight, saying her lack of hijab was because she forgot her head covering in the rush to get ready for a climb. But Iranian human rights activists who have watched thousands of women in Iran drop their hijabs in protest don't believe Rekabi's message was sent without coercion.
Iranians perceive that this is a forced message. Their family is under pressure.
Our thanks to Martha Raddatz for that. Let's talk more about this and the escalating situation in Iran. Elnaz Sarbar, Iranian native and women's rights activist based in California, joins me now. Elnaz has a long experience of dealing with the pressure from the Iranian regime, having played basketball during her college years in Iran. Appreciate you being here very much. Let's talk about Elnaz Rekabi, arriving in Tehran safely this morning, as you saw. And according to the International Federation of Sport Climbing, she will not suffer any consequences and will continue to train and compete. Do you, first of all, have faith that this is true?
Hi, Kara. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And honestly, no, it's really hard to believe this. We know that this has been a hard line for the Islamic Republic. They really care about the image they portray about Iranian women outside Iran. And they have taken action before against Iranian. Shiva Amini, the futsal national player, removed her hijab not during a competition, but just outside in a practice, and she was kicked out of the national team before. And for Elnaz to appear in the airport and just saying, oh, I made a mistake, there was like a timing issue, and that's why I removed the hijab, it's probably a show that she's already under pressure. It was reported that her passport and phone was confiscated, and her brother and sister in Iran were arrested. So I'm guessing she's under a lot of pressure. And we have seen similar cases of the Islamic Republic putting women under pressure to take back what they did. Like in July, there was another woman, Sepide Rashno, who published a video of herself in an encounter in a bus with another woman saying, I don't want to wear hijab, and I'm going to tell the world how you're treating me. And a couple of weeks later, we saw her on the national TV talking against herself. So it's hard to believe that she's not under pressure already.
What was it like for you when you played basketball during college in Iran? Did you feel this pressure? Were you ever threatened? How did you handle it?
Well, definitely there was a lot of pressure to have a hijab. I mean, my dad has never seen me play basketball because either it was like no men in the gym or you couldn't play. And it was not because I did care. I always wanted to play basketball with the proper clothing. And, you know, I did end up playing basketball in a community college in the US as well. And I was fine. Many Iranian women would have been fine playing that way. It was just the pressure, and it was the force that made us dress that way, that made us cover us. Otherwise, we didn't we was totally fine. Many Iranian women totally fine. Were playing without the hijab and playing with men in that case, having men referees, having men coaches, and that was all taken away from us. There was no showing the games on TV, which means there was no advertising, which there was no funding and supporting for women playing. And as you might know, a lot of Iranian women cannot compete in the international sports because they have to go through this regulation. So we don't have female swimmers. We don't have many games. Gymnastics, we are not participating, not because we don't want, but because we are forced to.
So, you know, women in Iran have been oppressed for the last 40 years. And for the first time, we are now seeing people of all ages, genders, ethnicities protesting in the streets against the regime. What is your reaction to these demonstrations? And do you have hope that this could actually be a moment in time that could bring about change?
Definitely. I mean, this is how I felt my entire life. I lived in Iran for 28 years. I went to school in Iran. I graduated college and I worked there. And I always wanted to do the same thing. For me, it was painful going to university and having to cover myself, playing basketball, having to cover myself. So they are implementing my dream. They are the cry that these women have in the street is my cry. And millions of Iranian women are identifying with this, and they're happy that finally they were able to express their true selves. And I feel this is the result of having social media as a tool to show us how the outside world looks like, and also at the same time give us a tool to express ourselves and realize that we are not alone. Like when I was a child, I thought, oh, I'm the only one who feels this way. But now through social media, we were able to find that there's more of us. And a lot of it is due to a journalist campaigner, Masih Ali-Nejad, who basically taught Iranian women how to do social disobedience, how to practice expressing themselves, how to introduce a witness, basically using our phones, our cameras, to take videos when something like this happens and show it to the rest of the world. So I think this is a moment that finally Iranian women have a self-confidence to come out and say, this is what we really want. We don't want hijab. We actually even don't want this regime. What you hear from the middle schoolers, from high schoolers is death to the dictator. And they are fed up with this theocracy, with this religious dictatorship, and they really want separation of church and state in Iran.
Well, I'm inspired by the strength. I'm inspired by your story and you. And of course, I love the art over your right shoulder. It speaks volumes about your advocacy. Elnaz Sarbar, thank you so much for your time. Let's stay in touch.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.